there's anything we can do to support workers, first and foremost, and to fight back against these tariffs against us, let's do it. So absolutely, we need retaliatory tariffs. I've said that. I think anyone running for prime minister needs to commit to that. On top of that, I said, let's look at other things as well.
How does that feel, Pierre? How does that feel agreeing with Jagmeet Singh? Oh my goodness. This just gets worse and worse. Today's hot topic is Jagmeet Singh and how it really seems, even though he's saying that he's doubling down on calling an election or voting on confidence, which would trigger an election, I just feel like he's trying to set up some reassurance that isn't really needed right now. And it makes me believe that he's going to try to do something to block an early election. So we're talking about that. Actually, we're going to be hyper focusing on Jagmeet Singh for the majority of this video, with a little bit of a splash of Mr. Sunshine getting canceled. It's getting crazy out there. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I think I desperately need you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel because I'm getting canceled, sort of. I made a video last week or several days ago, I don't know how long it's been, where I pretty much openly disagreed with Pierre Poilievre. And look, I have several channels. I'm sure you're aware of this by now. And in combination of everything, I've given the Conservatives 350 million plus views of support, anti-Trudeau, go Pierre type of rhetoric. And that's exactly what I meant when I was making those videos. And now he's coming out and saying certain things like, you know, I don't want to, but unfortunately, we may have to do a trade war type of thing. And I've openly disagreed about. No need to get into that right now. I've openly disagreed with that. And apparently, a lot of people didn't like that. There was mass unsubscribing happening from YouTube, lots of people throwing a tantrum on X. And I'm just asking some questions. I'm disagreeing with our politicians, and I'm asking some questions. I have never federally voted. I've been pretty open about that. So technically, by the book, I'm not right-leaning or left. I'm smack dab in the middle, at least because I've never voted. And then also what I'm posting on X probably isn't helping with that. So let's just take a quick look here. I posted this earlier this morning, right before I went out for breakfast, because I'm in a hotel, right before I went to the continental breakfast with my wife and kids. Man, I may just be bored because Parliament is prorogued. But how the heck does Pierre Poilievre get a net worth of $25 million as a public servant? He only became leader of the opposition a few years ago, which is when his salary would have skyrocketed. With Trudeau, at least we know he was born into a trust fund. We know how he made his money. But Pierre. And so this is from a very sketchy website. And I was corrected in the comments. I was corrected heavily in the comments that this is wrong. In fact, the moment I was corrected, I posted a follow-up saying, I've been informed that this source is highly sketchy and likely inaccurate. And it's some like Indian lawyer website. Now, people are telling me, right, Marty up north, fake news. There's no way that of actually knowing his net worth of Canadian politicians. I'd say it's probably between 3 and 5 million. And I say things like, that seems more reasonable. This is fake by Tracy Wilson from the CCFR. And I say, okay, do you know what the more accurate number would be? I'm out here just asking questions. I'm not out here to stir the pot by any means, but my loyalty is to Canada and to the truth. I just need that to be extremely clear. I've been pro-Pierre, anti-Trudeau, and maybe part of that first part of my post on X was true, that government is prorogued, and now we're just sitting here kind of twiddling our thumbs. I'm on vacation with my family, and through that vacation, I'm taking a side vacation, a side quest. So I'm doing like vacationception right now, okay? And I'm just a little politically bored. And so I'm looking into things, I'm asking questions, and I'm getting in trouble for it. And so that type of cancel culture belongs on the left. But hey, if you are disagreeing with me disagreeing with Pierre Poilievre, then that's fine. If you feel the need to unsubscribe and unfollow me on X, that's fine. I'm just going to keep my loyalty to Canada and to the truth. So yeah, if you haven't yet already, I'd really appreciate it now more than ever for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe before more people unsubscribe. But hey, let's focus on Jagmeet Singh. Let's cancel Jagmeet, shall we? Jagmeet Singh is suggesting that the NDP could help Liberals pass some Trump tariff relief. So those who don't know, Now that the tariffs are like a couple of days, 2 days away, less than 48 hours away, the NDP and the Liberals are proposing that they have some sort of similar to CERB during the blip COVID relief, or CEBA or CERA relief, or whatever the hell all these relief programs are called. And that's kind of crazy. So let's take a look here at his announcement of him supporting this decision.
Let us be very clear. There is nothing on the table right now. There is no plan on the table right now. There is nothing presented to me. There's nothing presented to opposition leaders. In the pandemic, what happened was the government called opposition leaders together and said that these are some of the plans we want to do. In that period of time, we also pushed the government to get more done. Nothing of that sort has happened now. Nothing of that sort is on the table. I've not been reached in any way. I've maintained my position that I'll be voting against the government at the earliest opportunity. If the Liberals are serious, though, about something, a plan that should be put in place to support workers, call the opposition leaders together if they're serious about it. Discuss that plan with us, the way we did during the pandemic. I've not seen any of that initiative. They've not shown any sort of commitment that we saw during the pandemic. None of that has been shown now. So there is nothing on the table right now. As it stands, my position remains, we will be voting against the government at the earliest convenience. If the Liberals are serious about providing support to workers, and I think they should, then bring the opposition leaders together, present a plan. They've not done that.
So to me, that sounds like they're going to be printing some money. And who disagrees with that openly is the leader of the Bloc Québécois, Yves-François Poutine. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
There's talk today of the government presenting a bailout package for people affected by tariffs, by American tariffs. Would you support the government in the House of Commons if they were to present such a thing?
I see no way I would support any astuce of the government. I suggest, I believe that the intention would be to create a context in which the government would get 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they remain there longer than supposed. True hell in terms of parliamentary work. If the Liberals want things to become clear and want to help people, they should simply start the election sooner. Nothing prevents Mr. Carney or Mrs. Freeland, once this person is selected as the leader of the Liberals, to say on March 10th that we are going into election. We have improved the situation by 2 weeks, but I'm not getting into any tricks.
So let me know down in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with a tariff relief type of response. I think that everyone sees through the smoke and mirrors of the blip, and when they just printed, they as in the government just printed massive billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars. I don't even know how much money they printed, but they printed so much money, and it still to this day haunts us and caused so much harm that is probably going to take years, generations to fix. I don't think that this tariff relief response is good at all. I think that the true, I'm going to get canceled again for saying this, but the true Canada First pro-Canadian response is doing what is asked of us, not by Luxembourg, not by Germany, not by France, not by Nicaragua, but by America, the world's superpower. We're not bending at the knee. We're not kissing the ring by doing what they're asking. That directly benefits Canadians. Full stop. And so I think that the only response we should have, the way that Danielle Smith has been going about it, is fix the borders, stop the crime, and get the job done so that we can go back to being two good neighbors. I don't think that a retaliatory response or planning for retaliatory relief, tariff reliefs, like if that's the goal, if they're already planning, like think about this. If they're planning on a tariff relief response program, how's that going to last? A week, 2 weeks, a month? Like, why is that? Why? That's a Band-Aid solution. In fact, that's not really a Band-Aid solution. That's false hope that, America's the big mean enemies and we're now having to print more money to solve the things that they're imposing on us. Or our politicians do their freaking job and get it done so that we're not in this situation in the first place. Maybe I'm a radical person for thinking that way, or maybe I'm onto something. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think down below. And then we got to take a look here at this press conference that Jagmeet Singh did. Now, it looks like it was filmed on a potato, so bear with me. We're going to take a look. But this is where Jagmeet Singh says at some point that we're going to be watching. He says that we're going to be taking down the government at the earliest convenience, and we're committed to doing an election and blah, blah. But I don't understand why. Like, we all know that's where things left off, but he specifically used the words Trudeau in his notice of his letter of intent, to his initial letter of intent to call a vote of non-confidence. So now that it's not Trudeau, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors swirling, if you want to use that word, that Jagmeet Singh will not be voting non-confidence, even though in the speech he says that he will. So we're going to watch it, and then we're going to take a look and see if we actually believe him.
So for these workers, we owe it to them to say very clearly, we're going to fight like hell for your job. We're also going to make sure that we are stepping up to support you if these tariffs come forward. So our plan is this. To fight back, we need to stop these tariffs before they happen. We need retaliatory tariffs. We need to stop the flow of things that the states need, like critical minerals. But we also need to put in place better protections for our workers. So what we want to do is we want to build Canadian and buy Canadian. What we need to do is change our procurement rules. The way
So he wants to cut off minerals and resources to America that brings us money and creates jobs for us. But then he also, in the same breath of air, says that he wants to create more jobs and opportunities for us Canadians, when those jobs are for Canadians. They're not American employees on an American payroll working in Canada doing Canadian jobs, unless I'm completely mistaken. It just seems like this guy is full of double talk.
we buy things at the federal level, we need to make sure that we're favoring Canadian companies that produce the things that we need in our own country. We need to change the rules so that it favors also companies that have unionized workers that pay their workers a good wage. That is a way to fight back and protect workers by changing the way we spend our federal money. Make sure it goes towards workers. It's tied to companies that actually hire good paying jobs and unionized jobs. But in this time, we also see other leaders that are taking shots at Canada. I got a message for Pierre Poilievre, who says that Canada is weak. Canada is not weak because Canadians are strong. We're going to stand up and fight back. And while the Liberals seem more focused on themselves, I have a specific message to the Liberals. If you're serious about supports for workers, I'm demanding that the Liberal government call back Parliament. Let's put before Parliament a package to protect workers, support workers that are impacted by these tariffs, and to support communities. The workers behind me are for Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie is a community in a city that could be hard hit by these tariffs. So let's stand up for this, Sue. Let's stand up for all communities across Canada that are going to be hard hit by the tariffs. And let's put in place supports before the worst happens. So I'm calling on the Liberal government to recall Parliament, bring Parliament back. Let's pass legislation that supports workers, because we're going to have an election in the spring. Nothing changes around that. We are going to be voting down the government in March. But there's still 2 months. If the Liberals think that they can wait 2 months before they bring in legislation, they are wrong. That would allow workers to suffer for 2 months. That is not the right way to do things. So I'm calling on the Liberals, recall Parliament, put forward protections for workers before Parliament. Let's get the opposition leaders together. Obviously, we need to support that kind of package. And then,
see, I agree with part of it. I agree that they should bring back Parliament. The Liberal leadership race has nothing to do with federal politics. I mean, yes, it's a federal party, but that's not your problem. That's not my problem. That's their problem. They should be sorting that out while we're still running the show. So I agree with that. But to bring it back to then try to print more money and provide these types of relief programs instead of focusing on how to actually solve the issues that are demanded by us, which is why we have those tariff threats imposed. I feel like he's kind of not doing what's in the best interest of Canadians, but he thinks that he might be. Maybe he's trying to pander to people. Maybe it's working, because there's even a lot of conservative voters that seem to think that we should be having a retaliatory response against America, which again, I can't reiterate enough. Like that is such a horrible idea to do. You think that America and Trump are just going to stop at 25? Like they can just keep going and keep going and keep going. And our 72% of our military is overweight and obese. So what the heck are we going to do if anything comes push to shove? So anyways, let's continue with Jagmeet here.
And let's have an election in the spring. But my message is very clear. We're going to fight back. We're going to have these workers' backs. And to do that, we need to have legislation in place that support these workers directly with the supports. Je suis tellement fier d'être ici avec des chefs de parti.
Good morning, Elaine Delamatia, Sioux Star. Mr. Singh, you're calling on the Liberals to bring back Parliament. Does that mean that you will support them with any retaliatory tariff measures that they want to implement at this time?
Yeah, so I want to be really clear on this. We are still going to be voting against the government at the end of March. But there's 2 months before that happens. And in those 2 months, if there's anything we can do to support workers, first and foremost, and to fight back against these tariffs against us, let's do it. So absolutely, we need retaliatory tariffs. I've said that. I think anyone running for prime minister needs to commit to that. On top of that, I said, let's look at other things as well.
How does that feel, Pierre? How does that feel agreeing with Jagmeet saying, oh my goodness, this just gets worse and worse. He was asked a simple question. Do you agree that we should have retaliatory tariffs when a retaliatory response with going back to Parliament? And he used that time to then push his agenda of printing more money. First and foremost. And then he gave a secondary response. And then his third answer was actually answering the question that was asked. That's not a genuine politician. That's a politician. That's how politicians answer their questions a lot of the time. But answer just the question. It's not a time to promote other ideas. It's a time to answer the question that was asked. That's how you can tell. It's a very big tell for seeing whether someone is truly genuine or whether they're pandering.
Well, we can cut off the flow of critical minerals. We know the United States needs Canada. We're the only reliable source of critical minerals. And it's also going to hit Donald Trump's buddy, Elon Musk, where it counts, because he needs those minerals for the batteries in his car plants. So let's be very serious about fighting back. But let's also put in place protection for these workers. There's workers behind me right now that are wondering, if we get hit by these tariffs, do I have a job the next day? Do I get to go into work or not? And if I don't go into work, how am I going to put food on the table for my family? How am I going to support my kids? How am I going to support my family? We need to let these workers know we got your back. And so I'm calling on Parliament to be recalled so that we can put in place those protections. If there's any legislation required to actually put in place supports for workers, let's get that done. I can't imagine any leader, any opposition leader that would oppose a package that supports workers impacted by tariffs. Furthermore, the conservative leader himself has said to call back Parliament. So let's call it back. Let's get something done to support these workers.
So the conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, wants to recall Parliament back to work to call the vote of non-confidence immediately. But unfortunately, here's the thing about going right back to Parliament, folks. This is the thing that I'm not sure if everyone's fully understands this. You don't just go into Parliament and call a vote of non-confidence on day one. Pierre and Jagmeet can't just stand up in House of Commons in question period and say, I object, Your Honor, I vote for non-confidence. Let's do an election. That's not how that works. They have to be given an opposition day. Just like Pierre's already had 3 or 4 of them, and every single opposition day, he's put forward the exact same motion since the end of the summer break, and that was vote of non-confidence. And it got shot down by this douche magoosh with a gray sweater, which is weird because Justin Trudeau just wore a gray sweater, the exact same sweater the other day. So I don't know what's going on there, but maybe their secret Santas took a little bit of time to catch up. But anyways, you can't just waltz into Parliament and say, okay, election time, vote of non-confidence. The person in charge of handing out these opposition days is Karina Gould. And the only one who has an opposition day left, from my understanding, is Jagmeet Singh. So he's technically really the only one that can pull forward the last vote of non-confidence. But they aren't going to get that for a long time. If the Liberals play their cards properly, politically speaking, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? I'm not in support of this at all. But if the Liberals play their cards properly and want to make sure that they don't give any more opposition days, which is possible, then all the Liberals have to do is not go to the Governor General for more supply, right? Because they're the government. They're the government. The Liberal Party is the government right now. So they need to go to the Governor General to get more supply. They've got peanuts, a couple $1 million left, right? Basically, they can't do anything. They can't really do ads. Ads would have to be privately funded for their party. They can't do anything. They can't push forward any more bills. They can't do anything. So that's a tactic that is likely to be used. No supply. They're supplyless. And then Jagmeet Singh will not get his opposition day. And this could bleed out, right? Prorogation ends the 24th of March. They could technically prorogue again. They could just not go to Governor General for supply and lead us all the way to the summer break. So this false hope that we're going to, no, for sure, see a spring election. Hey, look, I get it. I'm all for it. 350 plus million views towards this cause. I'm all for it. But I'm here to say, objectively speaking, that there's also an alternate route. We're at a fork in the road. There's the hopium, and then there's also the reality. And both could happen, but we have to look at who's the house, right? The house always wins. We know that. You go to the casino, the house always wins. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. More times you don't. Right now, the house is the Liberal government. They control a lot of the cards. They get to control the narrative for the next little while. So going back to Parliament right now for what Jagmeet wants, it could be a little scary because he's going to try to stronghold the Liberal government, which again, doesn't really make any sense right now because Trudeau's on his way out and there's a new person coming in. So we're going to have a unelected prime minister for the interim. It just feels like Jagmeet wants to be able to push forward a bunch of bills to pander more votes and say that, hey, look, we got pharmacare. Look, we got tariff relief. We got this and we got that. He doesn't care about the damage it does to our economy or to the people. He just wants to add it to his resume so that when the inevitable election does happen, likely in October of 2025, then he can say, look at all the things that I did while Trudeau or Mark Carney or Freeland or whatever held off an election as long as possible, right? That's the more likely scenario, just so everyone's caught up to speed. But sure, let's hear you shout into the current here, Jag.
Just as a follow-up, you're calling on a Buy Canada policy. That sounds an awful lot like a Buy US policy that President Trump is promoting himself. Is this a copycat measure, or do you have something different in mind? Can you please explain?
Yeah, our focus is on procurement. So the way we have procurement, the way we buy things in Canada, we need to favor things built in Canada. We need a more resilient economy. We know that we are very reliant on the US. We've been great neighbors. We believe in being good neighbors. It's a Canadian value. We want to support and look out for our neighbor, and we've done that. We've worked together with the United States. But now Donald Trump is threatening our country. And it's pointed out that we need to be better equipped to deal with threats like that. So one of the things we need to do is when we spend federal money, we need to be favoring and prioritizing companies that can produce things that we need in our own country. We also need to make sure that we are favoring when we have those bids on what company wins a bid, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's steel, we need to make sure that we are supporting companies that actually have unionized workers that pay their workers a good wage. We can change our procurement rules to do that, still complying with international trade agreements, still following all the rules. But we need to make sure that we are favoring things built in Canada by Canadians and favoring and supporting Canadian jobs.
Darren from Sioux Today.
So my question's for Mr. Singh. This trade war could get really rough. And it's been mentioned by one of the union leaders that we might need to bring in pandemic style supports.
No, please, no.
A lot of money. Are you in support of that, Mr. Singh? And if so, how much? I mean, it's hard to project a dollar figure, but are you prepared to do what it takes if it gets that rough?
Yeah, let's start off by saying no one wants this war. Like, this is not something that Canadians want. We would want to continue to have good relations, to have an economy that works for working people across both borders. But the reality is that Trump is starting this war. If he moves forward with these tariffs, he's starting a war. And if he starts a war, we have to be ready to fight back. As the union leader said, we've got to fight back. That's what we got to do to protect Canadian jobs. The only thing that Trump understands is strength. We have to show strength. We have to show strength by saying we are going to fight back with whatever it takes.
That's not strength.
As you mentioned, there are going to be workers that will get impacted in a trade war. The trade war is going to hurt us either way. We cannot let workers bear the brunt of it. We cannot let workers bear the pain of this trade war. And that's why I'm calling on Parliament to be recalled so that we can put in place protections. What do they look like? Whatever works.
Again, this idea is so crazy. Like, maybe I'm misinterpreting, maybe I'm misunderstanding, maybe I'm a moron, probably so. But I just feel like none of this makes any sense at all. That's like saying, okay, you want to go on a hike. You're going to go on a hike in the woods, and there's a 100% certainty, not 99, not very likely, 100% certainty that you or your party are going to be attacked by a bear. A bear is out in the woods, and any hiker, any group of hiker that goes is going to be attacked by a bear. So instead of not going on that hike, you are then going to go on that hike, but bring first aid kits so that when the bear attack does 100% happen, you can patch it up a little bit. Like, I don't really understand that. Like, why is it so? Why are these politicians so eager to jump into a massive fight with America under Trump, man? That's crazy. What are you trying to prove? Who support, like, do you support this down in the comments? Do you support this idea? Are you in agreement with Jagmeet Singh, Chrystia, Freeland, Justin Trudeau, and Pierre Poilievre that we should have retaliatory response to the tariffs to show that we're Canadian and we're proud. We're proud. Oh, we live in ice caves and we ride polar bears. We're proud Canadians. We drink maple syrup all day. Oh, or just hear me out. I know this is crazy. I know this is very crazy. But what if we actually just solve the border issues like Trump asked, and then nobody got hurt? Workers wouldn't get hurt. Our economy wouldn't get hurt, at least not by that. I know it's crazy. It's like a crazy right-wing extremist radical thing to think about, but it also sounds kind of logical. Freaking cried out loud. This makes me feel insane sometimes.
Whatever is the best way to get support to those impacted. They've got to be targeted because there's specific sectors that are going to feel the pain and specific communities that will feel the pain. Let's make sure that those communities and those workers are specifically supported. So whether that's...
I hope he loses the support from all of these communities that he's prepared to provide relief for. I hope every single person says, well, you had an option to support the alternative, which would be to fix the issues at hand. So this didn't happen, but instead you provided a Band-Aid solution. F you, Jagmeet. I never want to support you.
Pandemic style or another way. The goal is to achieve supports for those workers impacted so that workers aren't bearing the brunt of this trade war.
Just as a follow-up, it's been said that a lot of this tariff talk from Trump against Canada, against Mexico, is tied to immigration. If you clean up your border, stop letting undesirable people come in, we'll ease off on the tariffs. Canada is a land of immigrants. That would be offensive to a lot of people. What would you have to say to that, Mr. Singh?
Bro, law-abiding immigrants aren't necessarily the problem right here. It's letting in the freaking jihadi terrorists. It's letting in the Saddam Husseins of the world. Like, are you kidding me? You've got actual terrorists, ISIS members that cut the heads off of people. It's on video. It's on the internet. The government knows about it. And they said, oh yeah, you're the perfect type of immigrant that we want coming into our country. I'm sure everything will be fine. I don't think you'll cause any problems whatsoever. And then it turns out that they do cause problems, and they want to continue their terrorist-like activities here because they didn't come to Canada land and see all of the beautiful progressive opportunities that we have and then suddenly get a change of heart and say, well, you know what, I was going to commit some very bad acts, but now that I've seen all these rainbow crosswalks, I've now changed my mind. Bless the Canada land. That's not happening ever, not even in a movie. The reality, to quote a liberal, is that the bad people are coming in. Canada knows that they're bad people. We're not screening people properly. We know that they're bad people once they're here because then they commit bad things. We check their records and it turns out, oh yeah, these are like really bad people. Not like petty theft in Germany and then immigrated here. We're talking like ISIS. Like they wanted to kill Canadian and American and NATO soldiers. Like really, really, really bad people. And so that's like a big problem. We need to up our screening process. It's common sense. And so whatever Jagmeet Singh says next, I think is going to be a total crock of crap. But let's listen.
Oh, I think that no one really believes that what Donald Trump is saying is based on the facts. If we look at the reality in Canada, far more illicit substances, illegal guns, illegal drugs come to Canada from the U.S. than the other way around. So that is, I think, a non-issue. But it is an issue for Canadians. We need to support our borders for ourselves, not for Donald Trump. We need to have a stronger protection on our borders to prevent those illegal guns from coming into our country, to prevent the fentanyl and the weapons that are coming into our country. So yeah, let's invest in supporting our border because it's good for Canada. And what has
Yeah, there you go. I actually agree with that. We should be investing in our border because it's good for Canada. Again, brings me back to the main quote that I've been saying is that it's not like Donald Trump is saying you need to change all of your French stop signs. They shouldn't say arrêt. They should say stop. Like, no, bro, we're a French country. We used to be a lot more French than we are now, but we're still French. We're holding on to it. Very little holding on, but we're still holding on. And we're not going to change our stop signs because you want us to. That is a very weird thing to ask of another country. But that's not the case. He's saying, oh, yeah, Canada has a huge border problem. And we do. And we do. So, yes, we should be fixing all those issues because they greatly benefit us. Good job, Jagmeet. I agree with a portion of your sentence.
Happen, why our borders are in the conditions where we need to strengthen them to protect Canada is because the Conservatives cut massive amounts of workers from the front lines for border security officers, and the Liberals didn't reinstate those officers. I've spoken with Canadian Border Security Agency, and they said we are way understaffed right now. So we should absolutely, and New Democrats would immediately rehire those workers that were cut under Harper, and those cuts were maintained by the Liberals, and make sure that we've got enough workers on the borders to keep our borders safe so that we can keep Canadians safe. That's something that I believe in that would be good for Canadians.
Thank you. We now have Corey from CTV Northern Ontario.
Morning, Mr. Singh. I just wanted to ask about, I know this plan is very much a national strategy, but just if we're going to have maybe a reduced relationship with America regarding trade, do you support looking to new markets, contracts with new nations to kind of make up the difference, if there is a faltering between the two nations?
I appreciate the question. Yeah, we should always be looking to diversify our economy. We have had a very strong relationship with the United States, a very good relationship. We have shown what you can do when you have a good neighbor and you work together. But we also realized one of the weaknesses is if you have someone like Donald Trump that comes in, it really threatens a lot of jobs in Canada. So because of that, we need to, at the first level, when we're spending federal money, we need that money to go to Canadian jobs, Canadian workers, and specifically unionized workers who get good wages. So we can make those rules to prioritize building in Canada and buying Canadian. But we also need to diversify where we sell our products. So you're absolutely right. We need to look to other countries where we can have better relationships, more trade. Diversify our trade so that if we are ever in a situation again where we got someone like Donald Trump threatening Canadians, threatening our jobs, we have a diversified economy that we can rely on. So I think it's absolutely something we should do, looking at other markets, looking at other places for us to sell our products.
Do you then think that if there is less work for places like Algoma Steel that maybe they don't have as much producing to do, that your plan would kind of be similar to like an EI type of program for their wages?
Right. So what we're saying is we need to put in place supports so that the workers and those businesses aren't going to be impacted. And some of the ideas that have been put around is during the pandemic, we had come up with supports to put in place to support those workers in certain sectors that were hard hit. At one point, we realized that everyone was being impacted by it, so we put in place something that was very broad. In this case, it'll be more targeted. There are specific sectors that will be harder hit than others. And so, yeah, we know that the Sioux is one of those.
But we would all be targeted. It's nationwide tariffs. We would all be targeted. So this plan is quite discriminatory on its own. And yes, I agree. Hey, look, some people are going to be more targeted than others. Yes, I fully understand and agree with that. I'm not disagreeing. But by literal definition, everybody is going to be affected regardless. So this program will be abused, and there will be clawbacks, and there will be controversy, and they're probably going to come out with a arrive tariff app. I'm just spitballing off the top of my dome here, and I think that it's going to turn into a massive shit show. I don't like Jagmeet. I don't like his policies. I don't agree with 99.9% of what he said. Just the little bits that I paused and said I agree with, that part of the sentence is something that I would actually agree with. But hey, look, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that we should have a retaliatory response to the tariffs or not? And then secondly, do you think that we should have a relief program for the tariffs or not? I stand firm on my opinion. No discussion of a relief program. Everything, all resources, all attention should be focused on solving the issues, not that were asked, that were demanded of us, because they don't only benefit America. First and foremost, they benefit Canada and Canadians. That is the end of the video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe to this channel before I get canceled even more by people that have supported me but now are choosing not to. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.